First off, let's discuss why we would want to do an annual business review in the first place. I mean, seriously, I am a one-man shop. It's just me. I'm the CEO, the COO, the CFO, the lead investigator, sales manager, marketing director, IT manager, and the janitor. I think I have a pretty good idea what is going on in my businesses. And that, folks, spells out exactly why I should do an annual business review. It is because I am the CEO, the CFO, the COO, the lead investigator, the sales manager, the marketing director, the IT manager, and the janitor. And given all those hats to wear and all of the duties I have, it is evident that I will undoubtedly forget some crucial pieces of information that have occurred over the past 12 months, and I will skip some important tasks, processes, or procedures I was going to implement in the coming year. Another good reason to do an annual review for your private investigations business is so you have a running tally of these reports over the years to reflect back on and see your progress as well, what worked and what didn't work as your business grew. And then a huge consideration that many newer private investigators never think about is for future reference. If they ever think about bringing in partners, employees, contractors, or want to sell your business, this information can be highly valuable. These annual reviews give a good timeline and an outline of how your business has grown and evolved over the years and shows you are keeping record of the details for your business, which can be vitally important down the road too. This video is sponsored by OREP Insurance and Working PI Magazine. OREP is a leading provider of private investigator liability insurance. Visit orep.org for a quote today. Now, as you prepare your annual business review, stay focused on the why you do what you do. In other words, you should have rhyme to the reasoning for making business decisions. For instance, when you reviewed and set your rates last year, why did you set them where they are? Did you set lower rates to be more competitive? And if so, what did you do to ensure the customer knows how competitive you are? Did you raise your rates because you were excessively busy and the phones never stopped ringing? And again, if so, did you follow through with the higher rates, allowing you to focus more on bigger jobs? These are just examples, of course, but you need to think about why you do certain things a certain way and how did you implement it and what was the outcome? Was it what you expected or not? One of the most challenging parts of conducting your annual review will be ensuring you are objective during the process, not passionate. Let me repeat that. You need to remain objective, looking at every part of your business from every possible angle and leave the emotion, the passion, out of the equation. Sometimes you'll have to be a bit hard on yourself, and sometimes you'll see things that were way more successful than you imagined. Keeping an objective mind about everything lets you discern the differences between the two and allows you to really see what works and what doesn't work, allowing for better decision making on future business plans. Okay, grab your number 2 pencil and your Big Chief tablet and get ready to take down some notes. This is going to go rather quickly, folks. The first thing you need to do is make a list of achievements. What goals or other achievements did your business make during the year? Now, if you have an annual business plan, then you probably have a list of goals for the past year. And I will be telling you more about writing an annual business plan process a little later in this video. So go ahead, you can pause the video if you want, write down the goals or achievements you made during the year, and keep in mind sometimes those achievements were not a goal, but it was a noteworthy event for the business. Some examples here for my businesses would be financial goals. I always set a goal for revenue as well for profit for each business line. Did I meet those goals, exceed them, or was I short of my financial goals? Next thing to review for our annual business review, what were the strategies, the processes, or procedures that made those achievements occur? For me, one of my big strategies that led to a successful financial year was answering the phone every time it rang. Yep, I know, I preach it here all the time, but even I have challenges with this simple but effective sales strategy. In fact, I keep a notebook handy and I write down the details of every single call I get. I also write down the details for every voicemail I get, and I notate when I got a call and didn't answer and the customer didn't leave a message. I take those notes and I see that I close a huge percentage of sales when I answer the phone when it rings. And for those that leave a message and I call them back, my close ratio is less than half of what it is when I answer the phone when it rings. And obviously, those that called and never left a message have nearly a 0 close ratio. Now, in reviewing your achievements and the strategies you employed to obtain those achievements, what lessons did you learn? There's always something for us to learn, always something new, and learning from our successes and our failures are some of the biggest learning curves we can go through. Next, we need to jot down what our biggest challenges were for the year. You should also write down what your biggest setbacks were for the year. Did you lose any big clients? I know I lost one. And doing my annual business review really helped me understand the impact of that loss. Then we need to review the whys for those setbacks and those challenges. Why did I lose that big client? For me, it was retirement. That's right, retirement. No, I didn't retire, but my client did. He closed up shop and headed off to wherever attorneys go when they retire. It was a bit of a shock to me, and I identified something that I need to do to help avoid these setbacks and challenges, or at least to be more prepared for them. I had no idea that client was even close to retiring. This could have been a fatal flaw for my business if it had been one of my large clients. This also made me put together a process for finding out more information about my clients, the principals for the companies I work with, and their plans for the future. This client sent me a few smaller jobs a month. It wasn't earth-shattering, but once in a while, he had one of those big cases. Had I taken the time to spend more time getting to know this client, I could have been much better prepared for when he retired. My thought process was that he would, or any attorney would, sell their business when they retire, and the new owner would be more than happy to work with me. Well, he did sell the assets, but the new owner was a larger, more established law firm that had their own investigators they work with. So there was no reason for them to upset that apple cart, and all my apples rolled on down the hill. Now let's take a closer look at the successes, the achievements, the goals we made over the last year. What can we do to repeat those successes? What can we do to ensure more positive experiences like these for the upcoming year? For me, it is continuing to answer that phone when it rings and not to rely on the customer leaving a message. I am also going to continue to document my phone activity, call to sales ratio, as well the why I didn't get the job. This means I will be doing more follow-up calls with those prospective customers who never got back after the sales pitch. I identified one of the missing pieces of data I needed to evaluate my sales processes and procedures was why people didn't hire me. As well, did they hire someone else, or did they just decide not to move forward with any investigation? This would seem to be a no-brainer, and you know what? It is. But I never followed up as much as I should have because, well, follow-ups are just not always pleasant. They rarely turn into a sale, but they can, and they usually put some form of negative light on my business that I don't want to know about because that negative light reflects right off of me. I am also putting together a detailed plan for effectively shutting down my businesses and bringing them back online should the need arise, which is something I never thought I would have to do, folks, but now that will be a part of my business operational procedures. Before we discuss the annual business plan we need, let's review the steps for our annual business review really quick. First, write down your achievements for the year. All successes, all goals met, all achievements. Second, write down the strategies, the processes, or the procedures you implemented to make those successes happen. Now remember, do these in order. Don't try to mix and mingle the steps to save time. I know it might seem easy to write down the achievements and the strategies at the same time. But each of these should be considered categorical, if you will, and given their own time to be worked on. I don't know how much time you will need, as everyone's businesses are a bit different, but for me, I try to put at least an hour into each step. I also do not try to do it all at once. I get my layout written, then I schedule an hour or two a day at max. This allows me ample time to get it all done, but it also gives thoughts time to ferment in my mind. Okay, the third review step is what lessons did we learn this year? This one can take some serious quiet time to just let your mind mull over the year. I like to reference my notepad, my case journal, and my financial data when reviewing the year. Each of these are integral and important in their own respect to my business's success. Fourth on our list is to write down our biggest challenges and our biggest setbacks for the year. Don't try to justify them. Don't try to fix the problem yet. Just get those things written down so you have a list for the next step and a list to reference down the road in future years. Our fifth step is to write down how we handle those setbacks and challenges. And to be honest, folks, sometimes the way I handle a setback is to ignore them, put them on the back burner, and just move on. And that is fine as long as I can now identify the setbacks and how I reacted, because my next step is to write down what I can do to avoid the same setbacks in the future. You see, you can't fix what ain't broken, and you don't know what is broken if you don't take a close look at everything, and you must first admit it is broken before you can fix it, folks.